Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to CG Reacts, and this is US military just forced Iran's mullah to hand over their uranium. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll see it when I believe it. I don't know. Because there is a potential Iran deal, which again, I don't know, man. Like, again, I believe it when I see it. There's always talks like this, but it never works. But yeah, potential US Iran deal may be signed today, June 14th. Yeah, I don't know what details behind it. I mean, the way White House is talking about it, maybe it's confirmed because this doesn't feel same as the last time. But again, I don't know, man. I don't know. You just bombed Iran a few days ago. Is this enough for them to like, yeah, we'll sign the deal? Because if that's the case, why didn't they agree to it before? You bombed a lot of places, but not enough to like make Iran think, oh my God, this is too much. So what changed? I don't know. We'll see, I guess. Let's do this one.
It's June 14th, 2026, and right now, as I'm recording this, Qatari diplomats are wheels down in Tehran trying to get the supreme leader to sign a piece of paper that ends the entire war. Meanwhile, fresh strikes from Israel on Iran's proxies in Lebanon, taking the gloves off against Iran's proxies and putting them on notice that they are not a part of this agreement at all. And this footage...
And we know that's how peace deal has been... Historically, that's how peace deal gets signed. Yeah, you bomb their proxies, and I'm sure they're going to be fine. What are you talking about? I don't see it, man. If Iran signs this deal, I don't know, man. I don't see it. Because the proxies might threaten Iran if Iran doesn't back them. There is a whole element there.
Right here is showing Israel taking the gloves off, going up against Iran's proxies. Will Iran actually see the writing on the wall that their proxies are targets and they won't be a part of this peace deal? Permanently, likely, they will not have any shelter in this peace deal because they're trying to wreak havoc on behalf of Iran. So it's kind of a no-brainer. But here's something else. The deal is saying that Iran will hand over its nuclear material permanently to the United States military. So let that sink in for a second. Meanwhile, CENTCOM has been posting images of the F-16 with APKWS rockets. Look at this image right here. You can see the APKWS rockets, and this is essentially any Iranian drone operator's worst nightmare. This thing right here is carrying 14 plus APKWS rockets that cost roughly the exact same price as a Shahed drone, about $5,000 or so less. So you're basically making $5,000 with every Shahed drones that these F-16 shoots down. But the same regime in Iran, whose parliamentary speaker just...
I understand, but this had the same energy of Jensen in NVIDIA saying, the more you buy, the more you save. I'm like, all right.
Called the U.S. naval blockade a war crime. The same officials who stood in front of cameras and said, quote, the Strait of Hormuz is our nuclear weapon. Those guys are now sitting in a room while the Qatari foreign ministry knocks on the door and says, yeah, your supreme leader needs to sign this today. It's basically an eviction notice, but in this case, the eviction notice has F-16s with HARM missiles and APKWS rockets. And then President Trump posted this on Truth Social. He said, the JCPOA was easy, beautiful, smooth road to a nuclear weapon.
Why does he do that? Barack Hussein Obama's deal. Why don't I just say Obama's deal? Why does he always give the full name? Trump always says like Barack Hussein Obama, never just Obama.
For Iran, and that was made by Barack Obama. The weapon which Iran would have had 6 years ago and would have used long before now, my agreement with Iran is the exact opposite, a wall to no nuclear weapon. In fact, they no longer want a nuclear weapon, nor will they have one, either through purchase, development, or any other form of procurement. The deal is scheduled to get signed, and immediately after it is signed, the Hormuz Strait will be open to all. So at this point, he's trying to normalize a relationship with Iran. He's giving Iran the ability to normalize the relationship with the world. He said the deal is scheduled to get signed tomorrow, and our relationship with Iran is a much different and better one than previous administrations have had. Well, yeah, at this point, it's like Iran is put on notice. Do you want to become a normal country and come into some sort of a fold of...
Again, I'll see it when I believe it. Let's hope that happens, because Strait of Hormuz is a problem. It is causing economical issues in a lot of countries, and the way global economy works, if some country gets struggled, the whole world gets, like pulled into it. That's how economy works, right? Economy has to flow like equally. Like I remember, like there was a crisis in London one time, and the whole world's economy kind of plummeted a slide. I'm like, damn, all right. The oil crisis might be a bigger problem, LNG crisis. So let's hope this happens instead of Hormuz completely opens. But again, I don't see it. I'll see it when I believe it, because right now it's just, I don't know.
Economic prosperity, or do you want to keep being the radical ideologues that are slaughtering your own people? Looks like a potential off-ramp for the regime. This is the wall to no nuclear weapons that was originally sought at the beginning of Operation Epic Fury. And then President Trump said, at the appropriate time when all is calm, we will go in and get the...
Dude, look, here's what I'm going to say. If this is how it ends, I don't think anything changed for the Iranian people. IRGC is still there. IRGC is still going to delete people. So for the people of Iran, nothing changed. I mean, that's not a USS problem. I get it. I don't think USS should use that element. Like you delete your own people. So we are doing this. No, that's, if this peace still gets signed and IRGC is still there, that's not why you did it. So at that point, you shouldn't say, you should just talk about nuclear weapon at that point.
The nuclear dust buried deep under the powerful sunken granite mountains, thanks to those beautiful B-2 bombers and their brilliant pilots. That was Operation Midnight Hammer that went in and crushed the Isfahan nuclear sites that were buried deep under the earth and multiple other locations, striking those with 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs. So at this point, this is not the language of Iran, you can keep doing what you're doing. This is the final and last off-ramp that I can see, and it looks like the markets are responding, the optimism is high, S&P 500 is climbed to all-time high levels, and we've got a SpaceX IPO that's pretty epic. Oh yeah, and then UFC Freedom 250 just posted this. I thought,
yeah, SpaceX, I mean, basically sneaked into that, right? I mean, you need to have a year in order to get into it. They just did that in few days. Like they just went around the regulation. They're like, okay, fine, it's SpaceX, I guess. We don't need to worry about them running away one day. That's the problem. Like they might, if you don't have a year as a buffer before entering, the element there is like, what if you run away with people's money? That's not going to happen with SpaceX. Come on. So I guess that's why they went around that. But yeah.
this was epic, showing George Washington making King George III shake a little bit in his boots like he did. I love that they have a jacked George Washington. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how it would have gone down back in the day if there was an actual UFC fight between these two leaders. So the fragile ceasefire has technically been in place since April. It was functionally dead in certain ways. With
if you had roids back in the day, do you think they would look like that, right? I mean, George Washington was the general. There's a reason they fought in the military. And back then, I'm like, nowadays, it's not hand-to-hand combat a lot. But back then, it was kind of that. You need to get close. Like, even like the guns were not that accurate. So back in the day, they probably would have done it, right? Like, everybody would have been jacked. Like, yeah, this matters. This matters for combat. You would have had George Washington that's jacked, looking like Brock Lesnar.
Iran launching ballistic missiles and drones, and CENTCOM in no uncertain terms striking and hammering coastal locations, IRGC headquarters throughout the country, but especially striking down and blinding the ability of the Iranian regime to actually use their drones to harass commercial ships. But they did try. They kept going even over the last 72 hours with CENTCOM striking down those drones. Was the APKWS weapon system the one responsible for striking those down? It's pretty reasonable that it was, and with CENTCOM flexing hard on that image of the F-16, it kind of shows us, yeah, there's a strong chance that those F-16s were doing work with those laser-guided weapons. Those are laser-guided weapons that can be lased in from the actual targeting pod of the F-16, the sniper pod. You hold the laser on the actual Shahed drone itself, and basically the missile flies right in to that pinpoint laser spot, striking those Shahed drones out of the sky, swatting them out of the sky like an electric fly swatter, and making them fall like cheese graters into the Strait of Hormuz. And that's what's allowed commercial.
But wouldn't it be better to give those kind of missiles to A-10, since A-10 is slower? I mean, if you want to put a laser pointer to a drone, you need to be far away, right? Those F-16 would just basically walk past it, right? I mean, obviously they would know where to do it from, but wouldn't it be better to use A-10 for it, since it's kind of slower?
ships to continue to go through the strait. Because like we've seen CENTCOM say, hundreds of ships have gone through the Strait of Hormuz. And obviously Iran doesn't want to admit that. Over the last few months, hundreds of ships have made their way through. And CENTCOM has struck Gorik Island, Kashim Island, proportional, immediate, and deliberate strikes. As we look at the imagery right here, you can see there's different radar dishes, there's different areas where Iran uses to track the ships or even guide and steer their drones. Those have been crushed and struck down. Remember, even on June 8th, Iran shot down that U.S. Army AH-64 helicopter near the Strait of Hormuz. And then Task Force 59's drone boat went in and did the rescue. I mean, I try to think of that thing, like it just pulled up to the Apache crew and it was like Arnold style. It was like, come with me if you want to live. And then like just a drawbridge kind of lowered down and they're like, okay, this is weird, but all right, cool. Here we go. I guess we're going to give it a shot. I mean, just wild that we're at the place in the world where drone boats are doing daring rescues like this. And then remember, on June 9th was when those actual strikes went in, striking down surveillance nodes, control stations, radar sites, all across the Strait of Hormuz and IRGC headquarters throughout the country. Because those facets of the corporate media that are telling you that nothing has been done, no progress has been made in Iran, they don't understand the capacity of military power to drive deals. And that's a retrenchment strategy, which means you go in and strike, and then you pull back and like, okay, you want to make a deal now? No? Okay, no worries. Boom, you go back in and strike, and then you pull back and you ask, hey, do you want to make a deal? These are principles and tenets from The Art of War. And speaking of The Art of War, I decided to write The Art of Modern War. I wanted to do a remake of that classic book that has been around for thousands of years. But in my book, I wanted to bring something that you could use in your business life, your personal life, and these tactics and techniques are used on the battlefield for leaders to know the enemy they're actually fighting. Sometimes that enemy is within, sometimes that enemy is without, and you have to know how to know yourself, know the enemy, and Sun Tzu says, if you do that, you'll never lose 1,000 battles. So the principles that I've used to become a successful Thunderbird and F-15E fighter pilot are integrated into this book. I think you'll really enjoy it. So go to mabbook.com. You can pre-order it right now. Thanks so much for the support. I think you'll get a lot out of the book. Because remember, just prior to the deal being announced, President Trump posted on Truth Social and said that Iran will get hit hard tonight, and then threatened to take over Iran's oil and gas sectors entirely. And on that same day, U.S. fighter jets struck Iranian military surveillance capabilities, communication systems, and air defense sites across Iran with precision munitions, as well as bunker buster bombs. And then June 12th, Pakistan's prime minister announced the deal text was agreed to.
Okay, if the reason for the sudden peace deal is taking out those sites because maybe IRGC was kind of relying on those sites to project power instead of Hormuz. Now, once that is gone, maybe they're like making deal make sense. If that's the case, why didn't the US take those sites out before? So I don't know. Can that be the reason? I don't know, man.
And then by June 13th, just yesterday, Trump said that the deal would be signed today. Then this morning, Iran's foreign ministry is still saying, not today, not today, while Qatari diplomats are literally in the building trying to get Majab Khamenei's signature. Here's what the deal likely says, because the mainstream media
I know he's been keep saying that, but that doesn't mean much. You can kind of like say like, yeah, Qatar is there as a threatening force. No, Qataris are not going to threaten Iran. Come on, let's be honest here. If Iran says like, yeah, we're not signing any deal, then I don't see deal being signed. Doesn't matter Qatar is there or not. So I don't know, man.
Getting all of this wrong. According to multiple sources that I'm finding through different outlets, Iran is saying that they will open the Strait of Hormuz immediately. No tolls. Iran clears the mines it deployed in the waterway. The U.S. lifts its naval blockade off Iranian ports in parallel at the same time. Washington then releases $25 billion of Iran's frozen assets. Oil sanctions are waived. In exchange, Iran agrees to neither produce nor purchase nuclear weapons ever. No new uranium enrichment until a final deal is made. Dilution of the existing highly enriched uranium stockpile. And critically, the U.S. takes physical possession of any enriched material that has been destroyed during those strikes in those underground uranium refinement centers. Which, why do you put your refinement center underground? Because you're trying to hide and make weapons-grade enriched uranium. So the U.S. gets that nuclear dust. Now let's talk about the
Here's what I'm going to say. If Iran takes the L, right, and they do actually go through with this, there's a lot to gain for Iran. If all the sanctions are removed, but the condition is that like they can't threaten Strait of Hormuz and can't use uranium for weapons. Iran is right now in economical crisis, not to mention water crisis. All of that could be solved because of like Israel is kind of already like dominant when it comes to like desalination, right? US's technology is basically world's technology. Like that's how it trickles down. So if the sanctions are removed from America, like that could help a lot when it comes to Iran. Iran can literally prosper much higher than they are right now, at least. They can survive, right? Water crisis, all these issues, these are all go away. So on the surface, it looks like, yeah, that would be good. But the point here is, does the IRGC care? This is good for the people. Do IRGC care about the people or their end goal? Because if they invested multiple decades just to enrich uranium, make a nuclear bomb, would they just give it up? I don't know, man.
Weapons that made this happen, because remember, this deal wasn't just written in a conference room. It was basically written in the sky by fighter and bomber aviators, as well as all those, the air refueling platforms, all the pilots and maintainers involved to get these different air power assets in theater and pressure Iran like they've never been pressured before. So the tactical problem was this. Iran has spent 47 years and billions of dollars building their air defense network specifically designed to keep American jets from going in and making them feel the pain, because they know if they feel the pain like they have, they're going to have to sign a deal that gives the US basically what the US wants, and they didn't want that, right? So they built a layered SAM coverage defense. That means integrated air defenses that try to strike down any jets coming in. I mean, when we look at their oil islands, you know, their civilian oil islands or near their civilian uranium enrichment sites, there are massive amounts of surface-to-air missiles. I wonder why. If it's just for civilian purposes, why are you guys so paranoid? Ayatollah, why are you so paranoid, my friend? Oh, maybe there's a little bit something nefarious going on underneath the soil. Enter Operation Midnight Hammer that initially struck it down with GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators. 30,000 pounds each, the Mach is the most powerful conventional bomb ever built, designed to penetrate 200 feet of earth. That's what began this negotiation process, basically. It put Iran on notice that they weren't going to get a nuclear weapon. And then all the different strikes from Operation Epic Fury, sequencing from the F-35A, the F-16CJ, the F-22s, going in and making it rain on these different strategic pressure points of Iran without having to go as far as take down the nuclear power plants or bridges, as much as might have needed to be done if Iran wasn't as close to the table as they are right now. And that's why we saw this last round of pressure on Iran, giving them a little taste of what happens from those F-16CJs, F-15Es, F-35s, if they don't get this deal signed in the next few days. Remember, full-out combat operations just took place about 72 hours ago with fighter jets going in not so uncertain terms. The F-15E dropping a 5,000-pound bunker buster bomb on underground ballistic missile storage facilities in Isfahan. You can see right here, this is their plan. They have these bunkers, they've built these bunkers, and their whole goal is to keep the ballistic missiles inside of these, wheel them out, fire them off at their Gulf neighbors, and then pull back in. So that 5,000-pound bunker buster bomb probably eliminated dozens, if not more, ballistic missiles that Iran was hoping to use to try to keep getting a better and better and better deal. But at that point, I think Iran's seen the writing on the wall with that massive stockpile of ballistic missiles going bye-bye just 72 hours ago, that at this point it's just going to keep happening. The game of whack-a-mole is not going to stop. The resolve of these fighter aviators and the US military in the region with the blockade pushing Iran's ships back in is not going to stop anytime soon. So what I'm seeing right now is CENTCOM posting the deterrence in real time, like that F-16 with the APKWS, and also AIM-9X Sidewinders, AIM-120, and GBU-54s. The weapons on the right wing of that F-16 are GBU-54s, which are laser-guided bombs and GPS bombs. They can be used for whatever you want. So,
I mean, it could be the case that maybe Iran thought US would not attack again, and US is just bluffing. Because US was kind of bluffing for past 2 months. Trump was constantly giving deadlines and extending them. So maybe Iran got the idea like, yeah, now they're not going to attack and they're just bluffing and they're just stretching it out, flexing. And when US finally did attack again, they're like, you know what, we can't sustain another month-long strikes. We don't have much left. So maybe that could be the reason for deal. I don't know. If that's the case, that's very stupid. Why would you think US would not attack again when they literally attacked a few months ago? They literally destroyed 1,000+ sites in just one swoop. Why would you think they would not attack again? Have you seen how American military works? Do you know anything about history? If that's the case, that's just stupid to me. Like, you should have known that.
Basically, that's the strike package that's hammered Iran over the last 72 hours. You've got these Vipers that are up there pretty much around the clock, striking down these Iranian drones that are trying to harass commercial shipping, and then they can roll in and strike the radar sites, strike the different IRGC Navy headquarters on these little islands in the Strait of Hormuz, and then just keep peppering them with attacks, strike down the fast attack craft warehouses, and then basically dominate and crush the IRGC Navy headquarters. It's their version of Navy SEALs, not even going to hold a flame.
I like how just one pod gives them 10 small missiles. So if you just lay the entire jet with these pods, like 3 this side, 3 this side, that would be easily, like 60 missiles like that, 60 drone killing missiles. I mean, if you just want a drone killing F-16, you just want a specific for that, you can't have that. So if you just want to attack drone, like one jet alone can take out 60 of them. That's insane.
To U.S. Navy SEALs, but it's their version of it that are stationed around these little islands, and they're likely the ones that are going out with their Mosquito fleet harassing commercial shipping. So these F-16 CJs are just rolling in, striking the headquarters, striking the fire stations of the IRGCs where they get a call and they swarm out in their fast attack craft. That brings us to the global roundup, my friends. So on June 6th, Ukraine's Special Operations Forces claimed coordinated long-range strikes on Russian naval strongholds in the Baltic Sea. Here's why this is a big deal. It's well over 1,000 kilometers from active Eastern Front fighting in Ukraine, so 500 miles plus. This is a geographic expansion of Ukraine's strike capability that has received almost zero coverage because obviously Iran right now is consuming everything, but Ukraine has been hammering Russian oil infrastructure.
Yeah, Russia-Ukraine thing is big right now. The way Ukraine is hitting back, gaining ground, and they are attacking, like he said, 1,000 kilometers. This is not the first time they did it, but the more and more they expand in modern warfare in countries like this, when you see US Iran, that's a weird war. US literally comes from other side of the world, blows things up the way they do, but only US can do it, so that's a different thing. When Russia-Ukraine thing, that feels like more like a conventional war, right? Both armies fighting each other, like trench warfare level things, hiding in the bushes. You get all those footages, effed up footages, right? And during that time, Ukraine, an underdog, who never had that kind of strong of a military, now like piercing 1,000 kilometers plus. That's a big deal, right? In the modern world, that's a big deal. Like a country can't do that. Because of US Iran thing, things become so saturated, you would not realize that. But if you ignore the big players like USA, this is a big deal. Ukraine piercing Russia that deep.
Overnight into June 13th, Ukrainian drones struck the port of Timaruk in Krasnodar, sparking a major fire that took nearly 100 firefighters to contain. Separately, Russia's defense ministry claimed its air defenses intercepted 177 Ukrainian drones in a single overnight wave. If accurate, that's a saturation attack, straining Russian layered air defenses across multiple fronts that we haven't seen before. And that brings us to the 40 chess strategic analysis section, my friends. So what's going to happen here in the next few hours? Because remember, Iran's stated goal in these negotiations are sanctions relief, return of frozen assets, and recognition of their right to a peaceful nuclear program. That's the press release. Here's what Tehran actually wants: regime survival. They want the new supreme leader Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the Ayatollah who ordered 40,000 of his own people to be murdered over the last few months. He wants to stay in power. He wants to keep the hardline 249 IRGC in power, and he wants it to be perceived that he's negotiating from a position of strength. But even the Western-facing guys like Agarachi and Pezeshkian, right now, they're kind of coming around. They're like, yeah, hey, representative of God, can you go ahead and sign that deal, please, so we all don't lose our little fiefdoms? We're kind of enjoying our golden palaces with our golden crappers. So they're right now doing the best they can to try to pressure the leadership into not just going off the cliff. Because the nihilistic nature of the Ayatollah class, the Mullah class, the IRGC, they're kind of like, yeah, we could just keep doing this forever. And they can do it for a long time, don't get me wrong. But hundreds of them, thousands of them are going to be shedded and crushed by the US military month by month by month, and a lot of them don't want to lose their lives and lose their fiefdom. Remember, they're basically collecting all the money, all the spoils from the country, so they've got a pretty good deal that they're trying to protect. So if they can go from extreme level 15 to extreme level 11 and maybe sign some sort of a deal, they see this as a way to preserve the regime. But what do you think? Do you think there'll be a lasting peace in Iran? Do you think they'll actually come to the table with something that...
Oh God, I didn't even thought of that. Let's say even peace deal happens. How long that's gonna last? Look, man, this is save face type of element right now. If Iran signs a deal, they have no incentive to attack anything after that, right? Because they know they can't fight America. Right now is saving face. A deal reaching is like it's a thing you did. After that, there is no saving face. You save face, you didn't save face, that happened. Sparking, igniting war again would be very weird. So maybe when the peace deal does get signed, nothing's gonna happen. It's like India-Pakistan thing, right? Like terrorist attack happened from Pakistan. India bombed them, Pakistan responded, India bombed there even more. Peace deal happened and everybody's like, yeah, there hasn't been another, terror attack or anything. Pakistan's like, I don't want 2.0 of this. It could be like that. It could be like Iran's like, okay, you know what? We don't want any of this ever again, at least not in the foreseeable future. So maybe this deal might literally be like stability in that region for a long time. Who knows? But this is all wishful thinking. You never know what's going to happen. One thing I've noticed in past 2-3 months is like common sense doesn't work all the time. You don't know what people are thinking, so I don't know. Again, when it comes to peace deal, I'll see it when I believe it. Even that feels like a very far-fetched thing to me right now. So we'll see, I guess. All right? I'll see you next time.